today. They say it's peace, but the pockets still cry. Yes, the leaders are smiling, the streets are complaining, and the price of bread just flew away. Hey, hey, wake up, Zimbabwe.
Good morning, Zimbabwe. It's Wednesday, 29 October 2025, and if last night felt like a movie, that's because it was. Picture this: the new Parliament building in Mount Hampden goes dead black mid-sentence as President Emmerson Mnangagwa delivers his State of the Nation address. No, not symbolism, an actual power cut. With minutes left, an aide lifts a torch. The president soldiers on by flashlight. ZANU PF benches clap like it's a Churchill moment. And then, like a stage cue, power snaps back the instant he finishes. Load shedding? Fault? Divine comedy? Officially unclear. Unofficially, Speaker of Parliament Mudenda was livid. He apologized to the president, then promised to chase the culprit, capping it up with a threat that whoever switched off electricity while the president was speaking will regret the day he was born. If you heard a gasp in the chamber, it wasn't the generator, it was the constitution wincing. Meanwhile, in Belgravia, Harare, the fire wasn't metaphorical. Around midnight, suspected arsonists petrol-bombed the SAPES Trust premises, gutting the seminar room that hosts civic meetings and press briefings. Director Dr. Ibo Mandaza says attackers locked the gate with new padlocks and abducted the night guard before the blaze. The timing isn't subtle. At 11 a.m. yesterday, SAPES was set to host a national press conference pushing back against ZANU PF's Agenda 2030 and the legal cartwheels being attempted to stretch Mnangagwa's tenure beyond 2028. The presser went on as planned at Holiday Inn. Constitutional lawyer Tavani Mpofu called it cowardice. Xavier Kasukwere labeled it shameful. Rights groups are urging an impartial probe and reminding authorities that freedom of expression and assembly aren't optional extras. They are in the Bill of Rights and international law. While this was happening, another organized presser of the same nature, which was supposed to be held in Bulawayo, was also blocked by the police. Let's talk food security. Because for once, there is a headline that isn't burning. Agriculture Minister Anxious Masuka says Zimbabwe has broken its wheat record again, harvesting 578,059 metric tons in 2025, topping last year's 562,091 metric tons. National requirements is about 360,000 tons. So on paper, the bread basket is full and we are flirting with exports. The catch? Some millers need a high gluten wheat for specific bread styles and say they will keep importing small volumes. Government has been releasing stocks through the GMB, 6,518 tons to millers recently to steady prices. The minister congratulated 16,362 wheat farmers for doing the hard yards. If only electricity supply to those irrigation pumps were as consistent as their work. Back to law and order, where the order part feels negotiable. In Harare, police officer Charmaine Zingai Mteswa, 34, appeared before magistrate Marewana Jogofa on a criminal abuse of duty after allegedly selling police kit, riot trousers, STU caps, grey shirts to another officer for $1,000, who then allegedly resold to colleagues. The case surfaced after the buyer's arrest on 23 October. The case surfaced after the buyer's arrest on 23 October. The complainant is the Minister of Home Affairs, represented by Christopher Lloyd Tarenyika. If you are wondering why riot gear keeps showing up in curious places, sometimes the supply chain starts at home. At KG6, the carpet is already being rolled and folded. Defense insiders say ZDF Commander General Philip Valerio Sibanda, who turned 71 this year, is on a pre-retirement leave and could formally retire by 23 November 2025, with a tentative handover penciled for 9 November. Officially, the PRR line is no communication yet. Unofficially, this is a meticulously managed transition inside a much bigger chess game. Security sector reshuffles, political factionalism, and the perennial question, who holds the real levers? Remember the brief controversial stint when Sibanda's name appeared on the ZANU PF Politburo list as an ex-official member before being yanked amid legal fire over Section 208, subsection 3. Analysts think that was a test balloon for his post-uniform role. Watch whether he reappears as a Politburo player, cabinet minister, or envoy. Where he lands will tell you how 2028 is being engineered. From the courts, the Harare Magistrate Court granted $1,000 bail to Blessing Charakupa, accused in a twin robbery spree of 30 September worth $122,000 from a Toyota Fortuner to laptops and cash in Marlborough, then a separate hit in Highfield's Paradise section. The state says a gunshot was fired into the air during one raid. Several accomplices are still at large. Only about half the loot has been recovered. He's back in court on 7 November. In Gokwe, police are hunting for suspects: Blessed Binya, Lawyer Mpofu, Uzumoyo, and Munashe Makore over the machete and ex-murder of 47-year-old Nelson Silemba in Fandwana village on 25 October. Authorities say the killing may be retaliation tied to an earlier assault case that cost the suspects 2 cattle at the chief's court. If you recognize the names, ZRP wants a phone call before someone else gets a midday visit. Scams aren't always digital. In Avondale, a Harare poultry farmer, Lucia Nyamayaro, was conned out of 250 dressed chickens worth $1,500 by 2 men in a Toyota Hilux AFT 7625. The trick? Hand over a bundle that looks like $10 and $20. Step aside to get butchery keys, then swap the bundle for a single US $20 wrapped around a stack of dead bond notes. By the time she noticed, the birds were gone and the Hilux was only a memory. If someone offers you cash in rubber bands, treat it like a magician's deck. Across the Limpopo, KwaZulu-Natal MEC for Transport and Human Settlements, Siboniso Duma, is cracking down on rogue trucking operations. A weekend blitz at the Mkondeni Way Bridge in Pietermaritzburg stopped 98 trucks, interviewed 47 drivers, and made several arrests, among them a Zimbabwean truck driver nabbed for drunk driving, with the MEC warning he was minutes from causing a deadly crash. 5 foreign nationals were arrested for immigration violations. Another Zimbabwean was charged for transporting European tourists without a valid permit, and a bus from Zimbabwe was impounded pending checks. Drivers spoke of no contracts, no payslips, bribery, and payload exploitation. The MEC calls it human rights abuses in broad daylight. South Africa's busiest freight corridors remain a magnet for both commerce and corners being cut. If you are wondering what MEC means, it simply means Member of the Executive Council. This is like a provincial government minister. Regionally, Mozambique will host an IMF team in November for Article 4 talks and discussions on possible support as macro pressures bite. This comes as Total Energies edges back toward its LNG mega project restart, critical for Mozambique's growth and fiscal picture near decade's end. The fund's to-do list, front-loaded fiscal consolidation, realistic FX policy, and rebuilding stability after a contested election year. Further north, the continent's old guard remains evergreen. Cameroon's Constitutional Council declared 92-year-old Paul Biya the winner with just over 53%, sparking violent protest in Douala and elsewhere and opposition claims of fraud, especially in Anglophone regions where turnout figures don't pass the sniff test. The EU expressed deep concern over heavy-handed policing. The court's decision is final, the politics are not. In Côte d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara, 83, secured a fourth term with 89.77% amid low turnout and the absence of top opposition contenders barred from the ballot. Supporters hail economic stability. Critics warn the shrinking political space could build the future. In the Middle East, ceasefire talk collided with the reality again. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered immediate powerful strikes in Gaza after accusing Hamas of violating the truce terms. Al-Qassam brigades promptly postponed a body handover, citing Israel breaches. The tit-for-tat over hostages remains, and yellow line positions makes a durable law look distant. In Washington, President Donald Trump's administration keeps prosecuting its controversial air campaign against narcotics bots in the Eastern Pacific and Caribbean. 3 more strikes announced, 14 killed, 1 survivor, and a rising bipartisan chorus in Congress questioning legality under both U.S. and international law. The Pentagon argues national security. Lawyers call it extrajudicial. Expect more hearings. Don't expect the missiles to wait for them. And to football, heartbreak for the Warriors. Tino Kadewere tore the medial meniscus in his right knee during training at Aris Thessaloniki and has undergone surgery. The recovery window, roughly 3 months, possibly more. And this puts his AFCON availability in serious doubt ahead of the Morocco finals in December to January. On the brighter side, striker Thando Ngwenya is close to returning after an ankle injury against Kaizer Chiefs and could be match fit within a week. The tournament won't wait. Zimbabwe's depth will be tested. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your Zimwaves TV morning briefing. Torches in Parliament, torches in Belgravia, wit that finally behaves, a police uniform side hustle, a general poised to swap stars for suits, scams, stings, and a region juggling ballots, budgets, and bombs. If you value fearless, detail-rich reporting that says the quiet part aloud, smash that subscribe button, ring the bell, and share this bulletin, because sunlight is still the best generator when the grid fails.